Hello, my name is Paul Bellingary, and this is my demo video for my model viewer. To start off with, I'm going to go over what I've added to my FBX converter since the last video. It starts off the same with the convert header that holds our number of triangles and verts. I still convert the vector lists of triangles and vertices to buffers. I then write 3 separate files holding the convert header, the triangles, and the vertices. Still using the GLT read TGA bits to get our signed char buffer for the target information. Then again writing our texture header, our texture name, and our signed char buffer. Something new that I've added is the bounding sphere. This is going to help us convert the data into the culling sphere inside the engine. So I have here a bounding sphere data type. I convert our list of vector points that also hold the UV data as well as the normals into just the vectors, or I'm sorry, just the vertices. And then using the code from class, I then use the Ritter sphere to come up with the bounding sphere using the number of verts and the vector points, and then write that into a file. Using system calls, I was able to use my vodka from PA1 to turn all my binary files into BLO files. And then using LIU, I then combined all of the BLO files to one file that I named .gam. And then to clean everything up, I just use system calls to delete the unnecessary files. So here I can build this really quick. Alrighty, and then we can go into here. I have my FBX converter, I have the LIU and the vodka, and here are all of my FBX files as well as all the targas that go with them. Here I have 2 different batch files I helped to create, I created to help me with the engine process. Here we can see that the create GAM just simply has 5 different calls for the FBX converter, and then so I didn't have to keep copying and pasting files. I created a copy to engine script as well. So we can run that real quick. It does take a second. So beautiful. And you can see here the 5 different .gam files we have. You can run copy to engine real quick. And you can see my GAM files have in fact been copied over. So we can go into the engine and talk about the new things I've added into here. One thing is that within the model I did have to add a little bit more code just to simply read out the excuse me, the sphere information for the bounding sphere. And then something that I implemented to help keep the sphere and the game object connected with all of its translations, its scales, and its rotations, I added in within game object. When a game object is created, it now has its own data type of a model. So when the game object is created, it makes a sphere object using sphere.gam. It creates the shader, the render, the graphics object, all of that. And one thing that I did have to add right here is that I ended up falling into an infinite loop because the sphere was in fact a game object that called a game object constructor and over. So I added in a Boolean that if it is a sphere, you do not then make a sphere model and you simply just instantiate it to null right here. And as you can see here, I used the external world matrix to help again connect the game object and the sphere as well. So here I can scroll down here and show you that. So here we have that if our game object is not a sphere, it then pushes its own information into the sphere that it owns, including its translation and its scales, and then it calls its it gets its own world matrix and sends it to the sphere, which helps connect it. And then here we just have all the behaviors iterating through. So then within my game, I don't have to call the sphere constructor itself. It is just you open the model and you instantly have a sphere connected to it. Yeah, so here, let me run my engine. Okay, so we have a couple different things going on here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different models, a couple different that are instantiated. You can see that the space frigate down here has one that is in fact textured perfectly fine, and then one that I did not tell it what texture to assign to, so it defaulted to the pink checkerboard. We have a helicopter, Astro Boy, Batman, the buggy, and then as you can see I can move around the scene, rotate, and then by using spacebar, I can skip to another camera that is going to show us Batman in wireframe. Oops. And then one more time, we have a turning shortened helicopter that has a scale applied to it, as well as a default texture. We can go back to our main. I am still having lighting issues with some of my models. I'm not for sure where that's coming from. I'm using the exact data that's being transferred over. I'm sorry, the data that is being transferred over from my FBX is the same, so I'm not entirely sure where that's coming from. Where you can see if I rotate behind Astro Boy and Batman, they kind of black out, where the helicopter and the space frigate are fine. Yeah, so that is my game engine. Thank you. Sorry, one thing that I did actually forget to mention is that I do have my bounding boxes working, so that if you press B, it turns on and off the boxes. You can see that they rotate with the space frigate down here, as well as this guy over here. So they were in fact translated over properly from the FBX converter. Thank you. Sorry about that.